But if you look up depressed people, there's a high correlation between depression and vitamin D. We know that, but there's a huge correlation between depression and protein deficiency. Now, remember, you said it in the beginning. It's not what you eat, it's about what you digest. Well, if you're eating meat and you can't digest it, it can create a lot of issues as far as being deficient in vitamin B12, iron, zinc, etc. And then as far as the digestive enzymes go, in my humble opinion, I would recommend people reading that book or looking up Dr. Edward Howe. Look up that information or read his book. I would forever take a digestive enzyme. What Dr. Edward Howe shows over and over and over and over in his book is that people don't die from old age. People die from a lack of enzymes. Because enzymes are life force. So unless you're on a completely raw diet, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but you're only helping yourself throwing an enzyme in there. If you read that information, you'll be blown away. You'll just be blown away. So, when a client comes to me, I never tell them what to do or what to believe, because that's manipulation. I tell my client, here, let's try this, or listen out to this. I'm going to send you these references. I never tell them what to do without references. And I say, hey, try it. And if it works for you, then that's a belief now, if you're getting results from it. But, so those are the two things I would say as far as bloating, with those two things on what to do. Sometimes I'm hard to listen to because I don't have one belief system, and I'm not dogmatic on one diet. Everybody's built differently.
Same. I believe in that as well. And I remember a few years ago, I actually tried the HCL and seeing how many I could take. And I remember I took 8 and I still couldn't feel anything. And I was like, there's no way I should take more than this. And I just kind of stopped the experiment. But as you're speaking, I'm like, I probably still do have low stomach acid because I was a raw vegan for so many years and, vegan. And I do have such a sensitive stomach. So apple cider vinegar, I feel, is a really great, just like natural way to get that going again. And I crave lemons. Like I want to eat lemons, which is a sign from my body of, I want that acidity.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge sign. Yeah. And when if a person is not digesting, remember, fungi would digest and assimilate anything you can't digest and assimilate. And fungi or bacteria would digest it, right? So when they eat, they create bloating. They can create inflammation in the digestive tract, which then can create, remember, if you got bloating, I'm not so much concerned about bloating because of the looks. I'm concerned about what it does to the muscular system. Nobody really talks about that a lot. I mean, outside of Paul Chek, nobody really speaks about that a lot or is aware of the importance of not being bloated because of your muscular system. You'll go see, I got people who see chiropractors 3 times a week because they readjust. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm not against that. I think that's a beautiful thing, but can I ask you a question? They're like, yeah. I'm like, how long have you been doing this for? Oh yeah, 2 years. I'm like, okay. Have you ever thought about what's causing you to get the pain back instead of, trying to get a quick, adjustment? So what happens is if you're bloated, you're going to have a lot of compensation from everywhere from your hips to your ankles to your shoulders, like in neck. It has to happen. The body compensates since that TVA is not working. And I don't advise you lifting heavy. I don't advise you running because the more you put that into the nervous system, the more of an imbalance you create and the harder it is to get out of it.
Wow. I mean, I really resonate with the ankle pronation and feet turned outward and the lower back. And I was also a dancer growing up too. So I trained myself to walk kind of with my feet turned out, but I think it's also related to that. So if someone is bloated, is that maybe preventing them from gaining muscle in their stomach?
Well, absolutely. Because if the muscle is bloated, then you're going to compensate with the upper abdominals that can attach to the rib cage that then will pull you into something called the internal rotation, but you'll never really get into the transverse abdominis or lower abdominis. So the definition of your stomach won't be present with bloating. And yes, you won't be able to fire through that muscle due to the neurons, the nerves being inflamed from the communication of the organs. So that's why a lot of people wake up one day, they ain't do no ab workout or nothing like that. They wake up with no bloating. And they're like, oh, look at my stomach, and then they eat and then they have bloating immediately. So it does take away the definition and the ability to train the muscles of the internal obliques, lower abdominals, transverse abdominis, And you will compensate if you keep doing your like crunches and things, which you shouldn't be doing, especially if you're bloated. You will compensate by the upper abdominals pulling down the rib cage. So now your body is going to be an internal rotation. When your shoulders go in, your neck comes forward, and now you get a bunch of neck pain going in the back. And then now you're going to be messing with the zone 4 is what we call it, the heart chakra, zone 4, speaking up from your chest, doing something you love in life, your beliefs about relationships, etc. So now I got to go with that. So we got a lot of digging to do. So that's why we need to know what your dream is. We got a lot of work to do. And as soon as a person knows their dream, they in deep down inside, remember, being honest with yourself is being at your highest self. People really know the truth. When they really sit there and think about it, 9 times out of 10, I'm talking to a client, they're like, I know corn makes me bloated. I'll take it out. I'm like, how long did you know that? I knew this since I was a kid. But why didn't they change? Because if they don't have a reason to change, they won't. Why would we change if we don't have a reason to? That's why we figure out a dream. And this is where I have to do a lot of life coaching, because we'll go to a dream and then figure out what they want and then figure out why they're not actually taking the steps towards that dream because of belief systems, mom, dad, trauma, being molested as a kid. And that's when I have to go down that.